For our second stencil technique, we're going to be doing some heat embossing. Normally, when you do heat embossing, you would be stamping out an image with a sticky ink and then pouring on the embossing powder to heat it up. The melted embossing powder forms kind of a shiny finish on your card and gives a little bit of extra dimension to your projects. Usually you use these with a stamped image, but you can also do it with a stencil. So for this stencil, you're going to want to treat your surface with a anti-static powder tool of some sort. You basically want to make it so that none of the embossing powder sticks where we don't want it to. You lay your stencil over top and secure it however is easiest for you. I'm using the embossing dabber for this, but you could also use an ink pad with sticky embossing ink in it. The embossing dabber is nice because you can just tap it into the area that you'd like it, and you don't have to use quite as much ink all at once because that surface area is smaller. So I'm going through each of the openings of this stencil. This stencil is from the Simon Hurley Create line and it's called Stargazer. It creates the cutest little background of stars and constellations. And I'm just making sure that I get really good coverage with the embossing dabber through those holes in the stencil. So here I'm pulling out a coffee filter. I use this to catch stray embossing powder as I pour it on. You could also use a piece of copy paper or something that you have on hand just so that it doesn't pour all over your desk and you can easily pour your extras back into your container. This embossing powder is from Ranger and it's called Liquid Platinum. It's one of my all-time favorite embossing powders because the color and the finish is just so cool and so unique. I haven't seen another one that gives the same results. So I'm just using a tiny little spoon to scoop up the powder and pour it directly onto my stencil. You can see that the powder is sticking to everywhere where we put the sticky ink. That's kind of the beauty of this ink, is that it gives that powder something to cling to. And then you just go ahead and heat it with your heat tool. You can see that as it heats up and the powder melts, it turns shiny and glossy, and it gives the stenciled image a really cool dimensional sort of feel. So this is a really cool way to step up your projects and give it just that extra little bit of wow factor, rather than just having a plain stenciled image.